there's only like 2 episodes of RWBY left this volume. It's just so hard to wrap my head around it because hardly anything has happened. I know I say that a lot, and I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me say it, but not much has happened this season. Think about it. Really think about what of substance has actually happened and tell me, was it worth an entire season yet? Now, granted, we've gotten several good episodes, and this was one of them. And granted, we still have 2 more episodes left, and the biggest stuff tends to happen in the last couple episodes of the season in this show. But I cannot think of another season of RWBY, including the first season, where so little has happened. This episode, for example, which was primarily a flashback regarding how Ren and Nora met each other, this episode, why couldn't it have been earlier? I mean, I know they couldn't have brought this flashback into the story any earlier than this without restructuring the narrative, but that's what I'm talking about, that the narrative of this season needed restructuring. I've mentioned it several times. So far, I have not seen anything in the narrative that has made it imperative for them to only mention Kuroyuri now. For all of this stuff with Crow to only happen now. For this flashback to only happen now, except that that's just how they wanted it to happen. I mean, imagine, instead of getting some of those earlier episodes where RWBY and her group were just walking aimlessly through towns and nothing was actually happening, we only got one of those. It was all rolled in together, and then this chain of events with Crow started earlier in the season, and then we cut away to some of the other characters and got some stuff about them that wasn't just a token couple of scenes per episode. And the flashback either took place before we cut away to a couple of the other characters for a couple episodes or immediately after. And there wasn't this huge gap left in the beginning of the season where nothing was happening. I just can't get over how much the first third of this season felt like it was just mostly filler. And seeing an episode as good as this one is what dredges it all back up again because it's insulting. It's insulting to us as an audience, and it's insulting to the writers as writers to have such slow episodes that don't need to be so slow slapped into the beginning of this season because they can produce things like this. This episode was really good. Before I talk about Ren and Nora, let's talk about RWBY and Jean. We see them making their way through another ruined town, but this time it actually has importance because we don't just get some vague foreshadowing in this particular instance. The writers actually use this as a jumping off point for Jean and RWBY to talk about their feelings a little bit, and we get a great line from RWBY that she shouldn't have dragged them along, but Jean counters by saying that she didn't drag them along, that they wanted to do something too, and she gave them the courage to do it, and it was really cool. I liked it a lot. We also got a scene with Oscar, again, at the very beginning of the episode. He has now left home, he's now journeying, and Osmond is advising him from in his brain. And they run into, I can't remember his name, he's the buff guy from the villain's inner circle. I'm sure we'll see him up here in a second. And we do get confirmation that Oz did know him at some point and that he is dangerous, but the more important point is that Oz knew him. Because there is a theory going around that Oz used to be part of this inner circle of villains. This kind of strengthens that a little bit. Either that or the other guy used to be part of Oz's inner circle and then went over to the villain side. It's not really clear, but it's interesting to think about. The most interesting thing about this episode, though, and I'm not going to spoil much of it, it was the kind of stuff that you're only going to get the biggest impact out of it if you see it, was Ren's backstory. We actually saw Ren as a kid with his family. We got to see what happened to his hometown. We got to see how he met Nora, and we finally got to see what his semblance is. It's actually really interesting. But more interesting than anything else, we got to see a new kind of Grimm that seems to be mostly humanoid in shape and seems to be able to ride a mount. And it looks like that particular Grimm is still in the area, and they may have to deal with it relatively soon. And it looks like maybe the stuff that's happening now and the stuff from earlier in the season is all going to tie back into itself, which means I may need to bump up the score for this season a little bit. If that episode ends up being more important than retrospect than it seemed to be, I'll eat my words. Fine. It's just we got all of those slow episodes at the beginning where not much was happening, and now we're only 2 episodes away from the end, and I have no idea how they're going to resolve anything in just those 2 episodes. Unless this season's longer than past seasons. But I don't think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. At the end of the day, though, this episode is certainly worth watching, especially if you're a fan of Ren or Nora or both of them, or you're just curious as to how they met and how their friendship formed. Or if you're a fan of good episodes, because it was a good episode. So, go watch it. All that said, guys, what did you think of this episode? If you have seen it, let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.